You know those calls for the calls for a spending blackout? I just saw this from this account over in Twitter. The cumulative layoffs for all these companies. Take a look. UPS 48,000. Amazon just announced, and that's going to be more than 30,000. All the way down the line, look, all these big old companies, right? That's a big deal. You know what's interesting about it though? So when you see the calls for a boycott, and people are saying, "Oh, boycott Black Friday, which is the day after Thanksgiving, boycott just a big holiday spending time." It looks like these companies. Now I know these aren't all retail companies, right? But it looks like companies are proactively they're proactively saying, okay, if you're going to try to boycott us, we're going to fire a bunch of people in advance, and then that way we'll be ready for the loss of that revenue because we'll make it up in firing employees. Now I know that's not exactly a one for one. I know that, and we haven't seen gigantic retail announcements of layoffs and things like that. But it's just really interesting that there's so much happening right now, and we're in the fourth quarter, so they're trying to get their books right as they close the year and prepare for the first quarter, which is all important to businesses and everything. Plus, most of them got their big, beautiful bill tax breaks like Amazon did, and they're just like rolling in the cash. They're going to do dividend payouts and pay back to shareholders and all that stuff and firing all the employees. So, yeah, so maybe that boycott or the boycotts or however it's going to be done for a period of time or a day or whatever it is, yes.
Is it worse?
I really don't think most people in corporate America know what's about to happen over the next 6 to 18 months. You're going to want to save this video for later to prove me wrong, and you're going to want to share it with someone you know who's working at a large corporation. We're about to see what they're calling the Great Restructuring. Essentially, companies are consolidating their people, adding in automation and AI, and trying to get more done with less people. So instead of having a team of 10 people, you're going to have a team of 2 people. They get more done than the team of 10. And that's what companies are banking on. So over the next 6 to 18 months, particularly with large companies, we are going to see layoffs. And some of those companies aren't going to hire more people to replace those jobs. They're just going to focus on trying to bank on AI and automation to get the same results. How will this play out? Either it's going to work really, really well and companies are absolutely going to crush it, or it's not going to work and we're going to see a great rehiring. But whatever happens, the next 6 to 18 months are going to be brutal. And as those people get laid off, they're going to find out really quickly what I've been talking about for months and years, and that is the job market is absolutely brutal. Please share this video with a friend and let me know what you think about what I'm saying in the comments.
In the next 6 to 18 months will be brutal. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone who to rule and teach well. Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Barakatham, decency, Aki, and Wa'akwath, listening and learning, keeping the faith and diligence of our Lord Yahushai, occupying the prophecies and the faith of our Lord until all is fulfilled, and Lord will, we are redeemed. So back in the news, and we already know what's going on in Babylon the Great. The job market is trash, people out of work, and there's more layoffs to come. All right, Salakia. Yeah, sipping on some lemon and ginseng green tea. Really good for circulation. Alkalizing the body. And green tea is also good. If you're trying to lose fat around the midsection as well. But anyway, the job market is continuing to worsen. As you heard in these opening clips, they're going with AI and automation to replace a lot of people. And you have a lot of companies downsizing. A lot of companies are doing layoffs right now because the AI is getting more efficient, and that's really why no entry-level jobs exist anymore, because AI is able to do the entry-level work that you would have to pay, a college student internship or coming out of school, that would be like a, stepping stone position, to get your feet wet, to get some experience, and to, pretty much launch yourself into whatever career. But due to the fact that we're in the midst of the fourth industrial revolution, in which pretty much AI and robotics now is at the forefront, and people are being put on the back burner. And see, this is the whole thing about not trusting in this world. You know what I mean? 1 John 2:15, love not the world, man. Because ultimately, if you love the world, this is the result of it, because the world don't love nobody, man. All right? The world is very cold. And see, everybody's finding out now that the American dream was a scam. That this whole American Babylonian system was designed to get you in debt, to keep you on a hamster wheel, so that you'll never get ahead. You see what I'm saying? So now that people have spent all this money and time, and they put their hope and dreams and aspirations into this system, and now, people ain't got nothing to show for it. This is causing a lot of people to be angry, confused, and ultimately we understand this is the judgment from Yahweh Bashmel Shai. All right, because these people, what's going on now is a great humbling. Okay, when you read 2 Ezra 8 and verse 50, it tells you that many great miseries shall befall them that dwell in the latter time, because they have walked in great pride. So the Lord is now humbling these Americans, these Babylonians, because they have, pretty much thumbed their nose up against the Lord and his men. So this is why this is happening at such a fast rate. All right. And when you compare just a year ago this time, there were many more jobs available. All right. Now, you can hardly find any work. I mean, I'm not going to say there's no work out there. There are still positions that need to be filled. But overall, this economy is so bad that it's really hard to, bank on anything paying you a livable wage. And on top of that, inflation is increasing. The cost of rent, mortgage is exorbitantly high. You know what I'm saying? Just cost of living in general. We coming into November, where people are not going to be receiving food assistance. Section 8 is getting cut off. Benefits are being limited, ultimately because these devils are going to war, and they're putting all the money that they're getting towards the war effort and supporting, who they want to support, which is not the American people. All right, so I got a few articles here lined up going into the layoffs. All right, so right here, CarMax cuts hundreds of jobs, remains confident in long-term strategy. CarMax announced this week it would eliminate approximately 350 customer experience center jobs nationwide. All right, so 350 may not seem like a huge number, but when you deal with these smaller companies like CarMax and things like that, this is starting from the top down. And of course, if you were the last to get hired, you're going to be the first to get fired in these type of positions. Going here as well, Amazon, they've been doing mass layoffs since like 2022. And there were like early warning signs like late 2021, early 22, where financial prognosticators like Jamie Dimon, he's the CEO of Chase Bank. He was saying even back then that an economic hurricane, that a recession is on the horizon. Of course, it didn't happen right away, but these people know that it's a domino effect, because once global trade breaks down, and as you see Trump doing, pretty much making enemies of his foreign trade partners, there's not that much coming into America. And you got to remember, about a month or so ago, Trump increased the tariffs. All the tariffs that he had on the nations, they went into effect. So a lot of nations now are like, we're not shipping anything, exporting anything to America because it's too expensive, and they're not going to see a benefit. So it's only a matter of time before that kicks in as well, and you see mass scarcity. You see, let me see here. Yeah, Amazon.com Inc. plans to cut corporate jobs in several key departments, including logistics, payments, video games, and the cloud computing unit, according to people familiar with the matter. The terminations, expected as soon as Tuesday, could affect as many as 30,000 jobs. Reuters reported on Monday, citing sources, right? So 30,000 being cut at Amazon. You go here as well. Layoffs are piling up, raising worker anxiety. Here are some companies that have cut jobs recently. So you see all of them here: Amazon, Target, Lufthansa, UPS, Conoco, Intel, Microsoft, P&G, Nestle. And really the main ones you need to pay attention to are the retailers, all right? Amazon, Target, UPS, Nestle, because these are responsible for keeping up your supply chain, okay? Amazon, UPS, FedEx, Postal Service, Target, the big chain box stores or whatever. This is how people get their grocery. This is how people get their products. And on top of these, past that, you have to look at the shipping. Trucking companies, shipping companies, the longshore workers. All right, a lot of them are taking a hit right now because nothing's coming in at these ports like that. All right, so once these ports, dry up, because like I said, there's not that much being exported to America no more. So once these ports dry up, it's a domino effect. Truckers aren't going to have anything to move, and therefore UPS, Amazon, all these companies, they're not going to have any product to really sell like that, or what they do have left, it's going to be extremely expensive, all right, because the demand is going to be up, but the supply is going to be very low. Amid wider economic uncertainty, some analysts have said that business are at a no hire, no fire standstill. That's caused many to limit new work to only a few specific roles, if not pause openings entirely. At the same time, some sizable layoffs have continued to pile up, raising worker anxieties across sectors. And the thing is, very soon, none of us will have a job, all right, because everything is going to shut down. And that's what the elites of Esau Edom are banking on. You know what I'm saying? They're literally crashing the economy. That's why everybody's laying off, because the economy is not good. All right. These companies are not making money. They've been given incentives to lay people off and replace human workers with AI and the robotics. And especially within the tech sector, there's a lot of layoffs going on within tech. You see. And pretty much if you're still in those positions, they're training you now how to use the AI. You know what I'm saying? They're training you how to use the AI. They're downsizing teams so that, as you heard in the one clip, instead of having a 10-person team, you can shorten it down to 2. And those 2 people you have there, they'll, know how to use the AI and make work more efficient. So across the board, everybody's losing. The federal government, they're doing layoffs as well. The government's still shut down. So America is a complete mess. And people out here hurting, man. And this is only the beginning. It's only going to get worse. Some companies have pointed to rising operational costs, spanning from President Donald Trump's barrage of new tariffs and shifts in consumer spending. Others cite corporate restructuring more broadly, or as seen with big names like Amazon, are redirecting money to investments like artificial intelligence. Okay, so yeah, that fourth industrial revolution is in full gear right now. All right, so things are moving fast, man. It shows you that we about to get up out of here. All right, because the Lord, He's taking the mirth away. He's crashing the economy of Babylon. Paramount to launch 2 rounds of layoffs, slashing 2,000 jobs. All right, so these corporations are basically saying, we don't need you no more. All right, why do we have to pay you a livable wage, or give you benefits when we can just implement AI? They don't have to give AI benefits, you know what I'm saying? AI doesn't need time off. AI doesn't need a lunch break. So it's much better for these companies and where they're going with this technological future to implement technology into their workplaces than to have a human being there. All right, and that's why the likes of Klaus Schwab, he told you that we must prepare for a more angrier world, and people are angry, man. You see, so no work means less money on hand, can't pay your bills, can't pay your car note, can't save anything, can't pay your bills. So a lot of people are losing it in this time, man. And again, this is the judgment of the Lord. All right, let's get some precepts. Let's go to Isaiah 19. Isaiah 19 at the top. Verse 1, the burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud and shall come into Egypt. Modern day spiritual Egypt is America. And the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence. And the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom, going into civil war. Verse 3, and the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. So there's a whole lot of confusion. People desire answers. What's going on? Why am I losing my job? Why can't I find a job? Why can't I find something that's going to pay me a livable wage? These are things that people are seeking to other mediums now to resolve their anxiety and fear. And see, that's what happens when you don't trust and when you don't seek Yahweh Bashim Oshai. Ultimately, it ends in your confusion and ultimately destruction. So let's jump down to verse 7. The paper reads by the brooks, by the mouth of the brooks, and everything sown by the brooks shall wither, be driven away, and be no more. So this place, Babylon, is being, dried up. All right, things ain't flourishing like how it was, years ago. We're in a completely different time now to where the Lord is crashing everything. Verse 8, the fishers also shall mourn, and all they that cast angle into the brooks shall lament, and they that spread nets upon the waters shall languish, right? Because even the fishermen now, and the farmers, pretty much all food industries are taking a hit because they're not receiving the government benefits like how they used to. They're not getting bailed out, all right, and they're not making the profit like how they used to. So a lot of these people that work in agriculture and things of that nature, they taking a huge loss right now. Verse 9, moreover, they that work in fine flax and they that weave networks shall be confounded, and they shall be broken in the purposes thereof, all that make sluices and ponds for fish. Jumping down, verse 14, the Lord hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. In that day shall Egypt be like unto women, and it shall be afraid and fear, because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord of hosts, which he shaketh over it. See? So there's, we're at a point where there's no more work. There's no more work. And those of us that do still have employment, very soon we won't have jobs either. But it is what it is, man, because we tired of working any damn way. All right, we tired of paying taxes. We tired of working, having to get up and make somebody else rich. All right, we're ready to be in the kingdom and have our servants, have our slaves work for us. That's what we're ready for. So to hell with a job, to hell with this system, because ultimately this place is done. You know what I mean? Let's go to Habakkuk chapter 3. Let's go to Habakkuk 3 and let's go down to 14. Habakkuk 3 and 14. Thou didst strike through with his staves the head of his villages. They came out as a whirlwind to scatter me. Their rejoicing was as to devour the poor secretly. Thou didst walk through the sea with thine horses, through the heap of great waters. When I heard, my belly trembled, my lips quivered at the voice. Rottenness entered into my bones, and I trembled in myself that I might rest in the day of trouble. When he cometh up unto the people, he will invade them with his troops. Verse 17, although the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall fruit be in the vines, the labor of the olive shall fail, and the fields shall yield no meat. The flock shall be cut off from the fold, and there shall be no herd in the stalls. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. Okay, so again, the same scripture here is echoing the fall of Babylon the Great. Okay, that this place is going down. You know what I'm saying? That everything is withering up, drying up, and that's because the Lord is not giving this place strength anymore. All right, the Lord is confounding the leaders. He's confounding the farmers. He's confounding the workers in this place. Why? Because wickedness has greatly increased. So you have to know that when wickedness increase, the Lord turns up his judgment. All right, that's righteous balance. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 12. Ecclesiastes 12 and 3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease. The grinders are the workers, because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. See? So there's very few workers in this economy. That this economy is going down. Everybody's losing. And those that are looking out into the world, looking out the windows, it's a dark outlook. There's not a positive feeling that people have anymore. All right. Because in years past, if things was bad, like after '08, there was some type of hope that things would one day get back to normal, which America never really fully recovered from the recession of '07, '08. All right. Things got, kind of okay for a while under Trump's, first presidency, but it never really got back to what it was prior. And that was all deliberate to get us to where we are now. All right, so people are looking out into the world and it's dark. All right, verse 4. And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Right, so all the doors are shut up in the streets, the businesses are closing, people are locking up their homes, especially with this dark winter that's coming. People are, not going to be coming outside like that because it's going to be so much violence and, people are going to be losing their mind out here. All right. So America is going from sugar to shit. Okay. And it's all from Yahweh Bashmel Shai. You see, when you get this right here, we can close out. Another outage happened today. Okay. Dealing with Microsoft, Amazon, Starbucks, different companies. All right. So we know, on top of this economic collapse, they about to hard reset the system. So the fact that everything is going down so fast, the next thing they're going to do is they're going to literally pull the plug on this system. They're about to go lights out. All right, we've been warning about this, all right, for a while now, and it seems as though we're very close to this going down. So check this out from Dabu.
All right, guys, it looks like we've got another major disruption here reported across key internet services. Down detector showing places like Google, Amazon, AWS itself, and Microsoft, which they're saying Azure, 365, Store, Teams, Intra, all those are experiencing difficulties. They're also having issues here with Xbox Network, Comcast, Xfinity, Starbucks, Alaska Airlines, just to name a few here. There's a bunch popping off. Now, when looking into this, they're saying that it's a developing situation and that they're investigating the reports connected to this. But everything that we can see here thus far shows that this is potentially an ongoing outage connected to AWS US East 1 region, and possibly related to whatever happened on October 20th, which they never told us flat out all the details. They always give you just a little upfront look. It was an IT thing. We fixed it. As long as things get back to normal, most people keep on pushing. But whatever they're dealing with, whatever's going on here, I'm not sure what it is. If it's an IT thing, a hack thing that they're not saying much about, but one thing's for sure, it's disrupting a lot of different places. If you don't have Down Detector bookmarked, make sure to bookmark it, check in on it. If you ever see disruptions, I'll leave a link below. Join me for the live streams going live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, so bottom line is get ready for this blackout, man. Okay, get ready for the great grid outage of 2025. you know, because from that, things are going to get deadly serious and crucial, man. Okay. And the fact you have all these things going on is causing major anxiety, man. You know, when you get Luke 21, okay, because you know the things that people are hearing in this time is really taking a toll on their mental health, all right, because people are not used to living through adversity. They haven't been built up in the spirit to know what's coming and ultimately to confide in Yahweh Bashmi Shai. All right. Luke 21 and 25. And there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. All right. So people are in a perplexed state right now. Okay. Let's go into perplexity right there. Perplexity means inability to deal with or understand something, an entangled state, confusion, complexity. See, so a lot of people are confused, man. They don't understand why the world is going the way it's going. But if you read the scriptures, then you would understand that this is all the will of the Lord that's coming down. And ultimately, that we're in a time of vengeance, to where the Lord is giving people what they deserve, man. All right, because these people have been wicked, they've been proud, they have scoffed against the Lord. So, hey, the scriptures say that whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So we're in a time now where people are reaping what they have sown. Okay, so we don't feel sorry for these people. We don't feel no type of sympathy, because all this time people had to repent. All this time people had to get themselves right and really seek the Lord. They put it off because why? They wanted to chase after Salaki. They wanted to chase after this world. But look at the end of it. You wanted to chase the world, and now the world has nothing to offer you. Okay, so that's how cold that the Lord is, man. The Lord is showing you that all your aspirations in this world is all vanity. You see, verse 26, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. All right. So this is the time we in. Men's hearts are filling them for fear. People are crashing out at an all-time high. Suicide, Salakia. A lot of farmers are offing themselves. A lot of farmers are, selling their farms. They offing themselves because they feel as though they have nothing left to live for. And just a lot of regular people out here are just, offing themselves. All right, because life is that unbearable. And it's crazy that if people are doing that now, when we're only in the beginning of sorrows, how much more when the real tribulation comes upon the earth, man. All right, that's what we're preparing ourselves for now. So you got to be built up to deal with what's coming. All right, because hey, what the Lord got coming down the pipe, it ain't gonna be nothing nice. And if the Lord does not have favor on you in this time, then simply put, you're not gonna make it. All right, you're gonna perish. All right, along with the masses of the people out here. Only the elect are gonna be kept. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and close out. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying through the Rakah Kadash. Call Lord Yahweh Bashmi Shai Bashim Rakah Kadash. And until next time, Lord willing, shalom to the elect. Kom Yasha Allah, wa Baba Ball.